Time now for Conversation Nation. Joining me tonight, political strategist Angela Rye, political analyst Jason Johnson, and Mike.com's Liz Plank. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to be here, Rap.
We start with the new GOP attack on Hillary Clinton. Speaker John Boehner's demanding she turn over her email server in the name of transparency.
The American people deserve all the facts about what happened in Benghazi. And that's why it's so important for Secretary Clinton to turn over her personal server to a neutral third party. I think this is the fairest way to make sure that we have all the documents that belong to the public and ultimately all the facts.
Republicans are desperately hoping the email controversy will hurt Clinton, but there's not much evidence of that in the polls. 57% said they'd be proud to have Hillary as president. So, Jason, is the public already turning out the GOP's email Benghazi scandal?
Anytime I hear the word Benghazi, I just go to sleep. No one cares, okay? The public doesn't care. The only people who care are the Republicans, because what, they're going to find out that there's some secret emails between Hillary Clinton and al-Qaeda that she wanted people to actually die. There's nothing to be found. I think it's perfectly legitimate to ask a public official to turn over any sort of communication they engage in while in office. I agree with John Boehner on that, but for Benghazi's purposes, it's not going to go anywhere.
Angela, isn't this more about there's some legitimate questions of transparency, but as in many cases in the past, they've overrun the runway here and have gone way beyond the import that they could have just left out there and had Mrs. Clinton have to deal with and maybe even stumble on?
Well, I think there are a couple of things here. One is Benghazi is not a scandal anymore. We all saw Secretary Clinton testify before the committee, just exasperated at the point of, I don't know what else to do. It's horrible that someone who was representing the United States interests lost his life, as well as the other folks representing and protecting that particular embassy losing their lives. So it's a horrible situation. The issue is, at this point, when you're talking about transparency, what else do they want from her? She turned over these emails. She had a server in her home. It's not like she's never been subject to attacks and faux scandals before. She experienced this in the White House when she was First Lady. They experienced it when Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas. I mean, what else do you really want? I think at this point, maybe Speaker Boehner and Trey Gowdy can say, all right, well, let's do a dare. Let us turn over our personal emails as well. And I'm sure...
Or Liz, turn over Jeb Bush's. I mean, Jeb Bush had a personal server. I mean, if you're going to yell transparency, which is fine, we all agree with that, but let's do it for everybody. Liz?
Absolutely. I mean, if we're going to pester Hillary Clinton, we should pester Jeb Bush. We should pester even Scott Walker. I mean, these are people, I mean, Jeb Bush asked his constituents to email him to his private email. And so what's not being talked about there? Why aren't those scandals as sexy as the Clinton one? We love to have scandals when it comes to the Clintons. And to me, there's just, if I was the Republican Party, I would draw attention to other things which I think are much more valid criticisms. Right. I mean, Andrea Mitchell asked a question at the press conference, the famous email that turned into an email press conference about the fact that the Clinton Foundation has taken funds from Saudi Arabia and you know, these dictatorships that are very anti-women. I feel like that would be
issues
stronger.
Like that.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on next. Should Al Gore run for president again? It's been nearly 15 years since Gore lost his bid for the presidency. But some folks think it might be time for him to throw his hat back into the ring. The New York Times has just published a profile of the new optimism of Al Gore, touting his successful push on the environment. And over at Vox, they've come up with a list of reasons why Gore should run, including his ability to fundraise. Angela, what do you think? Should Al Gore consider a second run?
Rev, I don't think that Al Gore should consider a second run. Part of it is because just like I feel so deeply about the Seahawks loss, I'm still bleeding from that loss at the Supreme Court level of Al Gore's last run. And what's interesting to me, and I have to bring it up, is kind of the woman question here. So when it comes to Hillary, right, she's too old and washed up to run, but now we can bring back Al Gore. That's very interesting to me. The same exact term and the same exact administration we're talking about. But Rev, since it is St. Patrick's Day and it looks like at least both of us are feeling lucky, maybe there's another Al that should consider running for president.
It would actually be his third time running. And Jason, not that I want to get into it with Angela, but the Seahawks messed up at the line.
Many of us
felt Gore
It was a great defensive play. It was a great defensive play.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Won the game and they took it back. There's a difference.
Exactly.
You brought it up, Angela. Jason, should Al Gore run again?
Look, I'll make it really simple for you. Al Gore should not run again. I do not need any more 90s flashbacks, no Seinfeld, no cross colors. Let us get some candidates who've actually served in office sometime in the last 4 to 6 years. I personally would prefer that we actually have people who have dealt with the problems of today rather than candidates who are talking about the problems that they handled 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I totally have to agree. I mean, I think it shows that there are anxieties on the Democratic side right now about the presidential election, especially with this scandal with Hillary. But my reaction was just like, Al Gore, really? Like, okay, he's vegan and like works with Apple and Google, so maybe young people would be interested in him. But I just think there's so many fresh faces we can pick from.
Well, Saturday Night Live would love for Gore to run again, but everyone stay with me. When we come back, more Republicans come out against Loretta Lynch. Why? There's no good reason for it. We'll talk about that next.